fact, often refer people who need to know about loans to lenders who are experienced in this area, who know the seminars for and are prepared to countenance lending for it. So, I mean, that's our approach.
However, the price tag for developing unconscious attention does not stop at £15,000. This woman's husband paid many times that sum to the Quinn organisation.
Well, I noticed a remarkable change in his personality when he returned. He was very much unrecognisable from the man that I married. He was emotionally withdrawn from both myself and my children. And he was reading a lot of Bible. Yo-yo dieting, one day fat diets, one day starvation diets, one day fruit diets, and I was very worried about these because I thought they were potentially very dangerous, particularly the fat diet. There was no television, no radio, no newspapers. There was actually absolutely no contact whatsoever with any of the media. And but I think the hardest thing was the emotional withdrawal and the fact that he just didn't seem to care about the family anymore. After my husband went on the course, a number of my family also became involved and paid huge sums of money to Tony Quinn. There's my main concern is for my remaining children. I'm just worried that my remaining children will become involved as well.
Apart from the apparent pressure put on families by these sort of courses, the cost alone seems to have very few professional comparisons. 2020 asked Dr. Sean Collins, president of the Irish Institute for Counselling and Hypnotherapy, if he knew of any comparative costs for such courses.
I have been involved in training NLP, hypnotherapy, counselling, psychotherapy for over 12 years now. Typical training courses, and I've trained in the States, I've trained in England, would be somewhere between £60 and £100 a day would be the norm that you would pay for any standardised training with a world-class trainer. So I'm not sure that I would consider £15,000 for 2 weeks to be good value.
Professor Patricia Casey, Professor of Psychiatry in the Mater Hospital, was also asked of any comparative costs within psychiatric circles.
They would expect to pay between £60 and £120 an hour, roughly that. Of course, for over 50% of the population, they would be entitled to free treatment because once you have a medical card, all of these therapies are available on the public service.
While some people are not satisfied with the seminars, many more seemingly are. However, some experts have expressed concerns over the content of these types of courses. Quinn admits to using a mixture of psychology, spirituality, yoga and hypnotherapy, an area in which he holds qualifications.
Let's define what hypnosis is, because that is, what is hypnosis? Hypnosis is an altered state of awareness in which the unconscious mind is open to suggestion with a diminished normal critical capability, that technical definition. But we're all of us going in and out of trance states all the time. They can be triggered by other people, they can be triggered by ourselves. A person sitting in front of a consultant who's just been told that they have cancer, do they go into an altered state of awareness? They very definitely do. So when a person is in an altered state of awareness in the presence of a very strong emotion, they're very, very open to suggestion. And this is why this sort of mass hysteria thing is encouraged by these, in inverted commas, charismatic type leaders.
And this time you're going to go 100 times deeper. Okay, put the hands across and go 100 times deeper, much deeper than ever before.
The difficulty is that it doesn't actually teach people how to think positively. It tells them to think positively, but it doesn't give them any skills towards achieving positive thinking. And positive thinking, as it's ordinarily understood isn't so much about literally seeing the optimistic side to everything, but it's learning how to solve problems, how to find solutions. And this intervention does nothing of that sort.
And go inside now, go inside and see this incredible treasure.
The only damage that I believe that can be done through, what we've been talking about here is that a person begins to not believe that they can fail. And a person who believes that they cannot fail is at risk. If you take someone like a boxer and convince him that he's invulnerable, if he's capable and competent, that's good. If you have someone who is a second-rate boxer but can somehow convince him that he's invulnerable, then he's probably going to get seriously hurt. There is a pullback mechanism within all of us that is there to protect us. If a person begins to condition within themselves or be conditioned to leave out the possibility of failure, then yes, they're seriously at risk.
You are going to mine all of this.
I've had the experience of meeting a couple of people who have been on these overseas seminars, and like any researcher, like any therapist, first question is, what did you learn? What did you find out? Because I'm encountering a wave of enthusiasm as to how wonderful this has been and what a difference it's made in their lives. And so I asked the question, what did you get? And the type of response is, well, it was wonderful, it was great, it was fantastic, and my life is totally changed. But as a good therapist, I asked the question, well, what specifically did you learn? Because, we all want a better life. And you get responses like, well, it was fantastic, you've got to meet, you've got to go yourself. But I found it very, very difficult to get at any substance.
Look at all those gold bars. Aren't they beautiful?
I think in the group setting as well, people are more likely to take on board what is being said because it's being reinforced by everybody else in the group. Of course, the difficulty is then afterwards when people leave and return to their own homes, their own communities, they don't have the sense of group belonging and the sense of purpose, and people might well feel a great sense of emptiness and letdown.
The core tenet of the Educo system is the concept of unconscious attention.
Well, the unconscious attention idea is the one that Tony, in part, was given his MSc for. It's an original idea that he's come up with, and it's the core of the Educo process. Now, in attention, you have lack of attention or wandering attention, which is where many people find themselves. Then you've got forced attention, and that's where you're making an effort in your life to do whatever it is. Unconscious attention is a different scale or a different level, where you use your whole mind, and it's sometimes said you're only using, 1, 2, 3% of your mind. Here it becomes possible to use your whole mind and enter into a wider state of awareness.
Professor Ian Robertson is head of the psychology department in Trinity College, Dublin.
The definition of attention is that it's your focused, conscious attending of whatever it is you're talking about or thinking about. So I don't think unconscious attention would be particularly recognised by brain or cognitive scientists as a concept that they would be familiar with.
Would you be familiar with the concept that we only use a tiny percentage of our brain power?
This is a very common modern myth that there's vast amounts of our brain lying unused. That's not actually true. We use all of our brains most of the time. That's not to say that our brains cannot be shaped by